Hey Matt, good to have you here. So we're here for a lightning coaching session. What would you like to talk about today?
Yeah, so I have been for a while trying to do a professional accreditation. So do the work required to get up to speed on and effectively put an application in for professional accreditation in engineering. And it's something that, because it's not a necessary for my job and it's quite a lot of work, often gets pushed back and back and back. I have set a goal for myself to get it done by the end of this month. Uh, but I think if I don't do anything different, it's not going to happen. So, yeah, I'd like to talk about that basically, helping myself to get that and make it happen.
Okay, so you want to get this professional accreditation. You've been delaying on it, and you think without change, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So, what makes talking about that today important for you?
Ooh. So it's as I say, it's something that I've wanted to do for a while. I think I it will allow, well, in doing this, it's two things. Number one is the goal is to get the accreditation, and that will be a mark of confidence and credibility. Also, just open up some opportunities. But it's also a case of becoming the sort of person that follows through with their commitments, and that's something I want to do. And that every time I follow through with a commitment, I'm becoming better at doing that, and also learning some of the barriers that come in my way. So it's a growth progress journey.
So, it's about a professional development and opening doors there, but also a bit of an identity thing of you becoming that sort of person that gets done the things you want to get done.
Yeah.
Okay, so where would you like to be at the end of this session?
Where would I like to be? I think in terms of this journey or this goal, by at the end of this session, so 15 minutes, have um, yeah, as with typical coaching session, come away with a couple of action steps is what my mind always goes to, but almost always there's a new insight in there as well. So probably discover some little new insight as to what has been maybe something that's been blocking my progress so far,
Hmm.
maybe a faulty belief or a self-limiting thought pattern or something. But then actually to move forwards into actions, a couple of steps or things to try to increase the likelihood of moving forwards.
Hmm. Okay, so some action steps, some clarity on what's going on. So, where do you think would be a good place to start?
It's my least favorite question. I always turn I'm going, why don't you tell me where to start? But it's probably this is where the hard thinking happens. Where would be a good place to start? I suppose, well, typically I would say what maybe has been stopping me.
Mm,
What's been getting in the way? What are the obstacles?
mm.
Yeah,
Yeah, because you've talked about this idea of procrastination, this idea of understanding what's been blocking you. What do you think has caused the procrastination over time?
I think one thing, um, which is a fair thought, is obviously this is an accreditation, so it's a mark of competence and a credibility. Well, I think maybe only recently have I had that confidence in my own experience and ability to go, well, I think this would be fair. Uh, so before that, I didn't have necessarily the experience to be able to go, I think I have that mark of credibility and experience. So that's one thing that's helped me up a certain amount of time. But sort of more recently, since this year, it it's never an urgent thing. It's something that is on the back burner or is on the side of this is a growth thing. It's there's no one saying, oh, have you done that yet? And, you're being, getting the project done or whatever. There's no deadlines on this, so it'll always get pushed a little bit further back unless I prioritize it. So yeah, the fact that it's in that not urgent box, I'd say it's in the important not urgent box.
So the first part was that at the first part you didn't believe that you deserved this accreditation, but now you've come to think I actually have the competence and confidence to achieve this accreditation. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
But but that's not the main thing stopping you anymore. It's this. It's important but not urgent.
Yeah, other things always get put on your plate, and you end up having to sort them out. And so it's like, well, I'll put it back to tomorrow or till next week or whatever.
So what can you do to, or what do you need to change to increase the importance of this?
Increase the importance of it. In terms of my perception of the importance of it,
What makes you say the perception?
well, I'm not sure that how can I change the importance of the accreditation or gaining the accreditation? I'm not sure. Um, but I suppose I can change the way that I perceive it as more important. So it's something that needs to get attended to.
So how
But
could you change your perception of the importance of it?
I think that's probably why I brought up the second reasoning, the way you said, why is this important for you right now? The second reason it's important is because I want to grow in becoming the sort of person that follows through with commitments. And so it increases in importance, at least in my eyes, because it's an opportunity to either embody that or not, and to step either into I follow through with these commitments or I don't follow through those commitments. And so I definitely know which one I want to step into. And that is a helpful, powerful thought for me.
So what does it look like to apply that thought over the next month?
I suppose, so typically what I've been doing so far is I would schedule a time in the week on my calendar, a half an hour slot, maybe an hour slot to work on it a little bit. And when it comes to that slot, sometimes I do some stuff on it, sometimes I don't. And the times when I don't, it's because something else has come up. And so moving forwards in the next 4 or 5 weeks of this month, it would be a case of when something comes up and I'm tempted to postpone doing the work of this. So it's a classic case of not, oh, I'm not going to do that, but it's, I'll do that later. And that later just getting pushed back. So that would be an opportunity to be reminded, well, hang on, am I going to follow through with the commitment I've made to myself? Or am I just going to let myself get distracted by something that's just come up now that's urgent, but actually maybe not that important compared to. So yeah, just to be reminded of that in the moment. But of course, that's a challenging thing unless I've put a bit of groundwork in place. Maybe I suppose a simple thing that I could do is in that calendar hour that I've blocked out, I could put, mark it as important, important, not urgent. That could be a cue, a reminder to me. This is something that I've set to do.
What do you need to say no to in order to say yes to this professional accreditation?
It's a a good question. What do I need to say that to? I think I've touched on it quite a lot. I need to say no to those urgent things that get put on your plate and are told, this is super important to get done right now. Actually, most of the time, if it will wait an hour or half a day, actually wouldn't be a problem at all. So to say no to some of that urgency and to go, I've made a plan here for this and I'm going to stick to that. I think there are other times where, because it's some hard work involved in this, when that time comes, it's easier to do something that is less strenuous, but count it as still a learning thing. So maybe I want to learn a bit more about a particular software that we use or a particular part of industry. Maybe I'll read a couple of articles about that, or watch a tutorial on YouTube or whatever, and then at the end of it I can go, well, I was doing some learning, so that's still professional development, and so it's kind of the same. But actually I've really just procrastinated on doing the hard work, which is doing some thinking, doing some writing down, justifying these different competencies that is needed for this accreditation. So some of what I need to say no to is kind of the easier things, taking in information rather than actually processing it and writing down.
So it's saying no to some other people's urgent stuff and saying no to some of the easy stuff.
Yeah.
What would it feel like in a month's time to sit there and go, I am a man who followed through on the commitment I made to myself, and I've now got my professional accreditation?
Well, in terms of getting the professional accreditation, I think it would be a little bit longer than that. This is the step of me handing in the application. I think it takes a couple of weeks longer at least. So if I had it by the end of the month, that'd be great. But definitely in terms of that, I followed through with this commitment. I've done the work and I've handed in my application, or at least got that first draft done. That would be a really good moment of, I would feel accomplished. I would feel I've applied myself, done some, as you said, I've said no to some things in order to say yes to this. And that would be great, because in the grand scheme of things, who knows if this is going to be a big or a small thing, but actually growing into that, I can have the self-discipline and even set a course and go, this is something I'm going to stick to, even if at times in the moment it's not the most pleasant thing, or there are other things coming up. I'm able to show that self-mastery of, I'm not going to be mastered by the urgent things that other people demand, and I'm not going to be mastered by my desire to run away from the things that are a little bit more uncomfortable or difficult. I will actually show mastery over that.
Some really good insights there, Matt. So as we land this conversation, we've got about 90 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes left. What are some action steps you'd like to take?
So I think I like that first one I sort of discovered earlier, which was just even a small cue change. So renaming setting the priority of that event. I don't know if that's possible in my calendar, but certainly changing the name of it to important over urgent. And that would just be a reminder when it comes up. This is something that I've set to do. I think something I often toy around with is the time in the day to do that. So I have recently set myself a sort of the first hour of the morning in the working day is a non-distractible time. So that is, I'm not available for being reached, and that would be a very ideal time to do that work. Do it first thing in the morning. I'm freshest, even if it's just half an hour. You get some stuff done, and I've already made a step forwards, and that sets me on the right foot for the rest of the day. What previously done is had it in the afternoon, which is a bit of an energy drain time for me. And then trying to do hard thinking in that time is a bad idea. So I think I'm going to move it to sort of first thing in the morning on that Monday morning, get a move on it, and that means straight away I've already had a win in the day and in the week.
Brilliant. So you're going to rename it to important. You're going to put it first thing on a Monday morning.
Yeah.
Last question. As we wrap up, we're going a little bit over, but that's okay. What's one thing you learned in our conversation today?
Mm. I think one thing I've learned is yeah, so how effective a short coaching session can be. I wasn't sure how good a 15-minute one would work, but normally they're a bit longer, aren't they? Yeah, it's 15. It worked quite well. I like it. We'll do this more often, maybe.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Matt. And yeah, it was really fun to listen to what you were talking about, hear some of the insights you were having as you were having them. And like you said, just showing that even 15 minutes can be really effective, and imagine how much more effective a whole hour or even a whole series can be.
Yeah, I can vouch for that.